Live here. Okay, looks like we're live. Wow, right at 1 o'clock. Okay.
Wow.
Well, there's live
all the way live. Just forget about your troubles and your 9 to 5 and sail along.
Yes, exactly what she said. So welcome to our welcome to our Red Feather Mind Body Spirit Facebook Live event. I'm Christopher McClure, and today we have a very special guest, writer and speaker Kass Thomas, who is the author most recently. Yes, that's yes.
Hello.
Of Dancing with Riches as her new book, a wonderful book. In step with the change, with the energy of change using access consciousness. We wanted to catch up today, learn more about this amazing book and what's ahead. But first, a little background on Kass. Kass Thomas is a motivational speaker, a radio personality, a coach, access consciousness certified facilitator, best-selling author, so many things. How do you have time for all that? Born in the U.S., Kass moved to Rome 20 years ago, and in her early 20s and 30s, she was a successful entrepreneur. A film producer and a senior management executive in the hospitality industry. Now, Kass travels the world. Where are you, by the way, again?
In Prague.
In Prague, travels the world.
In the Czech Republic.
Oh, yep. You train corporations, groups, individuals in areas of communication, relationships, body language, business, money, women empowerment, earth, and many other topics. She uses simple, effective tools that enable participants to communicate more effectively in any situation. And additionally, they learn to connect with themselves and others to better create magic by weaving personal energy into their universal energy into their being. Kass believes there's more that unites us than separates us. She works diligently to strengthen the awareness of this unity within everyone using various approaches, tools, and techniques. Wow, boy, I tell you what, that's just I'm excited just with that. So
I know exactly. So we're done. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Maybe the best yet. So it's wonderful to have you here, and so you're in Prague. That's great. I'm glad you're safe. We had a lovely discussion earlier in the week, and I'm itching to learn more about your background. You actually, one of the great things about this book is that you weave so much of your background through it to really illustrate the principles that are throughout. So, but if you maybe give the audience a thumbnail sketch of your background, that would be awesome.
Yeah, thumbnail sketch. Let's see.
Thumbnail sketch,
do you like this thumbnail or do you like this thumbnail? There you go. There you go. And when we laugh, we actually connect with who we really are, right? So so that's awesome. Yes. So I was born. I want to sing a lot right at the moment. So, that song, I was born in a stop by hurricane. Doom, doo, doo, doo. Yeah, I was born in Boston, right? I think you already said that. And one of the things I'm so grateful for growing up in Roxbury in Boston, Massachusetts, is the diversity that was in that area. So for me, from when I was born and growing up, there was actually no sort of exclusion in my life, And what what I got the awareness of, even as a child, besides the fact that it snowed one June in Boston, and I was like, this doesn't work for me. But I knew that I wanted to go. I didn't even know how large Boston was, but I knew that I needed to go and expand more and see more and visit more. Mm-hmm. So I had traveled as a kid. I went to Mexico and Africa.
Right.
It was amazing to be in Africa. We growing up in Boston, and then you go to Africa, and there's so many Black people in Africa. So it's like, you're walking like, wow, look at this. So it's like, as a kid, I was like, wow, And so I went to university in New York, which everyone in Boston was like, what are you doing? Why are you going to New York for university? There's so many universities here. And that's some of the things that about choosing what is actually in rhythm with you, That's one of the things that I talk about, dancing with the riches of your life. What are those talents and abilities that you have, although that curiosity that you have, or something that pings you, right? Mm-hmm. That it's like, why go to New York? I don't know, first time ever in New York, but I'm going for university, and the voyage continued for me. I don't know if I told you, I had a teacher in the 3rd grade, right? The charter school. And every Irish American gal, and every morning In the third grade, she would write on the board in French, good morning, today's Monday. Good morning, today's Tuesday. Bonjour,
Yes.
aujourd'hui est mardi. And I
Right.
said, you know what? One day I'm going to live in Paris and I'm going to speak French.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
at 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the
Yeah.
things I ask people also in some of my workshops and stuff is like, what is it? And maybe we can ask the people who are watching or listening or will listen later. What is it at 8 years old that pinged you, that you thought you might want to do and access in
Mm-hmm.
your life, you know? And
Yeah.
so actually in Boston, there weren't any universities where you could do that junior year abroad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wasn't cognitively aware of that when I was
Mm-hmm.
choosing to go to New York. But then
Mm-hmm.
when I went to NYU,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I wanted to, you know, I was like, hey, you could do a junior year abroad here. I'll study
Fascinating.
French. Except my dad
Mm-hmm.
said, no, you are not going to study French. First of all, I don't even know why you're speaking French. Spanish is going to be the second language in this country. If you don't learn Spanish, you are not going to be able to get a job. That was my dad's, you know, thing. It was really
Okay.
into education and all that. And
Yes.
I said, okay, Dad, I'll get a degree in broadcast journalism, mass communication, but I'm going to take
Mm-hmm.
enough French so that I qualify to go. And it really, I mean, that's why I'm living in Rome because you know, when I traveled all around Europe and 21, and
Mm-hmm.
the year when I was 21, I came to Rome
Mm-hmm.
and I studied. I didn't even remember this, Chris. And I went to Boston Latin. Do you know Boston Latin School? It's the oldest
I've heard
public
of it.
high
Yes.
school
Mm-hmm.
in the country. I
Mm-hmm.
studied Rome for 6 years of my life.
I see.
6 years I
Fascinating.
studied about Rome. I learned, I studied Latin and
Mm-hmm.
Roman history, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
funny because, you know, there were some Italians there. There was, you know, I was an honorary member of the Chinese Society because I really liked computers. So, we would, you know, and but the, when I got to Rome, and how often does this show up in our lives, right? That we have something that pings us,
Mm-hmm.
that is part of our life, that becomes a an awareness, a talent for us that we actually don't engage with. And so this is when we're talking about dancing with the riches of our lives. Some people think, well, this is what I studied. This is what I do. I'm a journalist. I study
Mm-hmm.
journalism. What else? What else? And this is what my invitation in this Dancing with Riches is to recognize what the riches are in your life, what your capacities are, your talents, your awarenesses, and how can those contribute to you on your journey called life.
Right. No, exactly. And you say that so well in different ways throughout the book to kind of reinforce it. Like, what is your unique grain of magic or what is your special niche? So just to get people thinking in different ways. So like if one phrase doesn't work for them or doesn't resonate with them, then something else might, right? So I think you just keep bringing that home. And one of the great things about this and the message you're bringing with this book is for people to have their blinders wide open, as we would say, not to be limited because I guess who is it? One of the co-founders said that, that magic happens in ways you never expect, right? You might have a certain way of thinking, but it might manifest in a different way, which may be better. It's the best that the universe can give you at that time is what you are ready to accept, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
it may show up, and it shows up often in very different ways. You're absolutely right about that. And
Mm-hmm.
what, in writing this book, a lot of times people are teaching, right? You've heard that expression, if you don't know how to do something, teach it.
Right.
Right? But what I wanted to share is some of the many different situations, experiences that I've had that gave me an awareness of what I wasn't choosing, right? Where I was stopping myself, where I wasn't
Yeah.
moving forward, and what are the tools that I used to actually expand that.
Mm-hmm.
And so with those various topics in the book, the various chapters about your relationship with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
about your relation, the chapter one, from
Mm-hmm.
one to oneness, chapter two
Mm-hmm.
about your body, I've got so much stuff about the body, in the book. and giving people with each of those topics about relationships. Marriage is, I'm in my second marriage, and sometimes we choose our first marriage, like I did. I was like, okay, checklist. Okay, this is not right.
This,
Yeah, and so this is what I'm doing, and choosing instead of actually choosing for me what is in line with my vibration. And I just
yeah.
wanted to say something that you mentioned, the niches, right?
Yes.
I know one of those best-selling books that I co-authored about business, right, is really one of the things people say in business and in marketing and promotion. You have to find your niche. You have to find your public. You have to, and that's not something that I've actually ever done. And this is thanks to the riches from my neighborhood, from my growing up. My mom was a nurse, and she worked in the Jewish Memorial Hospital in Boston. So part of the language that I grew up with, I didn't even know that it wasn't English. Don't be a mashugana, she used to say to me. And also my friends that grew up with me. And it wasn't until I went to New York, it's like, and my partner, my writing partner in my first class, and I was like, oh, don't be a mashugana. And I said something else. I say Sigig Samia, which is like 6 1 half dozen the other. And he's like, why do you speak Yiddish? I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't even know it. And he said, where did you, and I told him some names of some friends of my mom. And he said, oh, they're Jewish. I was like, how do you know that? So, you know what? One of the jewels for me, the gems of my mom, that she never made things significant like that. She never told me that those women who were at our house every Christmas Eve when I went to sleep, and then when I woke up in the morning, there were gifts under the tree. I thought they were Santa Claus. She never told me, no. The reason why they're here is because they don't celebrate Christmas. You know what I mean? And my dad worked in a factory until he married my mom. And my grandmother, who was, my grandmother was the deputy commissioner of insurance for the state of Massachusetts. Her husband, my grandfather, worked in the post office, but she was elected. And when she said to him, look, you're going to marry my daughter, you got to get a better job. So he had to go back. But so he became the head of computers at Liberty Mutual. But he worked in the factory, and I didn't know he worked with Italians. But whenever he came home and he was like really, demanding, and he would be like, "Kabish," and with his hand like this, "Kabish," not to smack you, but you'd have to say yes, and he would say, "Oh no," and then we would say, "Si," and it means, I didn't know that till I came to Italy, that it is the Neapolitan way of saying, "Do you understand?"
Wow. Yeah.
So he never mentioned that. So this is what I'm talking about, the riches in your life. How many experiences and things have you encountered that you may not have identified or recognized? And this is something I invite people to, also in this book, to really step into your life, right? Recognize who you are. Step up and acknowledge, you know what? I have some talents and abilities that I may not be using, and step out. Share those with the world, be visible, and see others, enjoy this life. Enjoy this life.
Enjoy it. Yeah, no, that's really what this is about. And I love the how you tie it into just the title, with dancing with your riches of your life.
Absolutely.
And I was extending the metaphor. I do this a lot. I extend metaphors, so like if you're so you grow up with certain choreographers, but you're also making your own choreography as you go. And it's a beautiful dance overall. So from where you came from, and but you have the ability to also dance your own dance as well too. I think and so and it's great to just in your reflection on your parents, how much they just really, it didn't call out those those different differences.
Yeah,
it was all part of the oneness, right?
Can I tell you, Chris? When I was in New York, I did this class. It was museum studies or something. So one week we would be in the classroom, and the next week we would go to visit one of the many museums in New York. And I walked into this room, and I see all these paintings
Mm-hmm.
that I grew up with.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I was
Oh,
like,
yes.
I
Yes,
called
I
my
remember the
mom.
story. Yes.
I called my
Yeah.
mom and I was like, Mom, I went to the museum today. Oh, that's nice, honey. I saw Picasso. Oh, he's my favorite. I never,
Right.
ever,
You
ever
mentioned
had
so
heard
that
the name Picasso.
you never knew. You didn't. Yeah. That's really amazing that she, didn't point out, hey, this is Picasso. It was just a part of growing up.
Exactly. Yeah. And also you have to recognize that this is something. And so one could go into judging that,
Mm-hmm.
but recognizing how if you don't make something significant, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it's really important, it's really significant, then actually it doesn't control you.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you more choice.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's incredibly important.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, so just and that's just a small example of how you weave those those experiences into this lovely book too. So I guess at the heart of this really is the idea of access consciousness. So for those who aren't aware of what that is, could you again different thumbnail, maybe this one then, of what the the other one, switch thumbs.
Wait a minute, let me file this one for you a little bit.
So what is access consciousness?
What is access consciousness?
I know it's a mouthful. It's a lot.
Yeah,
so,
it's a lot. Access consciousness is a approach to life, right? That is not about giving you the answers. It's about empowering you to know that you know what
Mm-hmm.
is the answer for every
Right.
area of your life. So it's opening up that. And a lot of people get so annoyed with access, like, give me the answer, give me the answer. And sometimes, you give someone an answer, but then we ask questions, And I was, when I moved to Rome, I had I have a wonderful husband, I have a wonderful home, I had lots of friends. Great food. My husband's an amazing cook. Whenever you want to come to Rome, we even get a bed and breakfast downstairs. Come and visit, and we'll get a dinner with Marco Corbelli. Okay.
Wow.
But I know. And I had lived in New York for so long that I had been going to the Mind, Body, Spirit festivals, and I had been, having channeling sessions, doing yoga. I had been doing my spiritual life. But in that I wasn't necessarily being it, and so being in Rome at the time, there weren't so many yoga, and the mind, body, spirit, and all this stuff. So at a certain point, I mean, I got to tell you that I was like, okay, maybe I can, cloud this up with some wine. My body just wouldn't accept enough wine to protect. My body was like, look. And so I was putting out that question, and I start the book with that. What is it that I can add to my life today? What else is possible that I haven't imagined? It's got to be more in life. And I did one of the channeling sessions, great stuff in New York, that I had taken. It was called The Group. I haven't known where they are, but what they said is, the dance is yours. That's what they had said to me, and you just reminded me of that. The dance is yours. The music may change, the partners may change, but the dance is yours. So you choose. And I was choosing to leave my first marriage. And I was like, yeah, okay, the dance is mine. I'm going to choose something different. I'm going to choose a different dance floor, a different rhythm, a different music, So this is dancing with the riches of your life. First, you've got to recognize them. And sometimes, and what I invite people to is how to do that. It's a how-to book.
It is. It is a how-to book. It's interesting. There's just enough, I guess, access consciousness in this. But, if someone has no idea of what it is, you still get a lot out of this, which I think is what makes this as good as it is.
Absolutely.
There's so many, I write a lot in my books, and I have a lot of things kind of like, you can't see it, but like little notes and things. And, I didn't know much about that process, which is fine. And so you don't have to really get a lot out of this.
And one of the things that I loved, because I never actually, and this is probably thanks to what we were talking about, I never actually wanted to follow anything. I read lots of stuff. I read, Deepak Chopra, a lot of stuff, but I was like, if I start following a methodology or something like that, then I'm not going to actually explore me. I'm going to be on someone else's
Right.
path and not on mine. So I never actually followed anything. And one of the things that really um, invited me, motivated me in with Access was that the first thing was, look, we are not the answer.
Mhm.
Access is not the answer. Access is
Mhm.
not. Access is the question. You are the answer. And that was like, I was like, okay, good.
Yeah.
and
Right.
And you know
I get.
what's so funny? I didn't like choose it, right? And
Mhm.
this is how things show up in our lives, right? A
Mhm.
girlfriend of mine was saying, people want me to teach this class. She came from the States, and she was like, I need your help to translate, and will you host me? Because I know you've been a film producer, you organize events, you do all this. So
Mhm.
can you host me and organize the event for me, and
Mhm.
also help me with the translation into Italian? I was like, yeah. So how
Mhm.
many things show up in our lives where we don't think we've actually chosen them, but but they're actually the universe responding to
Mhm.
our request, you know? And so
Yeah.
the thing that it's a continuous a growth access. It's amazing. And the foundation of access, there's something called
Right.
bars. The foundation of access, it's a 4-day class. And
Mhm.
there's so many tools in there. A lot of
Sure.
other things, you have to reach a first level and then a second level and then a third level, and then you have to get your master's or something, or you have to become a maestro in that.
Mhm.
No, you get it
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
if you're willing to use those tools, then you create something amazing in your life. And this is why my incorporating in each of these areas, money, business, body,
Mhm.
relationships, incorporating into there some tools from Access that you can use. You don't ever have to do anything else. You can use these tools, and they can and will change your life, really, and open it up amazingly. So I'm really
Right.
grateful to Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, and to Dr. Dane here, the co-creator, Simone Millis' sister, Brendan Watts, so many amazing people. And I'm also
Mhm.
thankful for all those amazing people that are part of my life. We don't like work together necessarily, but we co-create
Mhm.
and create on our own and just contribute to one another. So it's really really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great to understand. All those influences and the gratefulness is a big part of anything that we're doing. So as far as the tools are concerned, one of the main things, and it's throughout this book too, is the clearing statement, which is kind of like at the end of many paragraphs, and that just to So could you maybe explain what that is a little bit?
Well, what I can tell you is when I started with Access, the clearing statement was a lot longer
Okay.
than that. The clearing statement of Access is basically like an energetic broom that
Okay.
that sweeps the dust off of any
Hmm.
area of your life that you haven't been able to actually identify and see the beauty of it, the gems of it, because it's dusted like a piece of furniture. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you dust it off, you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't even realize there was dust there. And once you do that first sweep with this clearing statement, you're like, oh my goodness, that's not even dust. That's actually some paint on there. And you do the
Hmm.
clearing statement again, and you ask a question and you clear it again. And what it's doing is breaking up the density. That's what
Hmm.
that clearing statement does. It breaks up the density that
Hmm.
doesn't allow you to have some space in that area of your life. So it's the clearing statement of access, and that's available on the clearingstatement.com in many different languages and stuff. It's
Hmm.
brilliantly explained, and also in the book. I start the book with that. But
Yes.
it's right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 short boys and beyonds, right? And you can just say it's short, pot and pock, which is basically, oh my goodness, I really have this judgment about myself. You know what? Pot and pock that. And what you're saying with that is you're asking, I don't know where that came from. And this is what I love
Hmm.
about Access because it's energetic. You
Hmm.
can do 20 years of psychotherapy and, you know what I mean, and peel the onion
Hmm.
and get to the core
Hmm.
issue, and then
Yeah.
nothing changes
Hmm.
because what you identified as the core issue may not have been. You know what I mean? When, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'm not singing more, because when I was in grammar school, they told me don't sing, just move your lips because you're interrupting everyone. Or was it when I sang to my uncle and he said, "Oh my God, you're off tune"? Or was it when, what are all those different things is? Who
Mm-hmm.
cares? Are
Mm-hmm.
you really, and this is a question. This is a question. Are you willing to change something?
Mm-hmm.
Or before you change it, you have to understand why it's like that.
Right, right. Well, yeah, just to go into what you were saying there, the POD, point of creation, point of destruction, right? That's what
Yeah.
it stands for. So, and that kind of relates back to the echoes of the 8-year-old statement. Who were you at when you were 8? Where were these things? Where were these dreams that you had? How did they, get turn a different direction? I don't want to say squelch, but how did those things that you wanted to become didn't happen, or what limited you, or what is limiting you? And so anything like that, anything like this, or some kind of like it sounds like mantra almost, but the clearing out and being able to focus on the root cause of those issues and just put them in a proper place to move on. Really is
You know what
our.
the thing is about Access, though? It's energetic, right?
Mhm.
So when somebody talks to you, when somebody says, "What is it? You can't explain yourself." What shows up? I can't explain myself. Oh my goodness. What shows up? What you are using that clearing statement for is anything, I don't care what it was, that causes me to go into reaction about this. What is the point of creation when I first chose to go into reaction when somebody judges me like that?
Right,
you know
right.
and you don't have to mentally understand it. You're asking energetically to go to that point of creation when you first took that on, right?
Hmm.
And a millisecond before that, when you were when you before you started going into reaction for that, you're asking the energy to bring you to that space that you were before you started creating destruction
Hmm.
in destroying your possibilities. Because if
Hmm.
somebody's talking to you and they say, "What is it? You can't explain yourself?" You go away. You start going into
Right.
reaction. What do you mean I can't explain myself? I can explain myself, blah, 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 blah. But maybe
Hmm.
it's not
Hmm.
a judgment. Maybe if you're willing, right, to pock and pod to whatever is bringing up that reaction in you, you can
Hmm.
actually be there and receive more. Because that's something in our lives that we have limited who and what we're willing to receive. And the universe, God, Allah, Buddha, the angels, Shiva, whatever,
Hmm.
all of that is
Hmm.
bringing to us on a silver platter so many possibilities. But the moment we start focusing in on and going into reaction on something, we can't
Hmm.
see those, right? Stop looking
Right,
down, look up.
right.
Yeah, look up and see what the gems and the jewels and the riches that are all around you,
Hmm.
and it might be nature, it might be the birds. What is it that shows up for you? I mean, I was writing, I wrote about this, about that when I was in South Africa, right, going on this and in the States we call it safari rides, right? In that South
Hmm.
Africa they call it bush rides, right?
Right.
And
Yep.
I didn't want to go in the morning. And I was like, I talk to my body a lot and I tell people how to follow their intuition, get connected with your intuition. And I was like, okay, it's 5:30 in the morning. Do we really want to go?
Hmm.
I was so excited. I was smiling. I was like, don't smile. Truth. Do you really want to go? And I was smiling. Okay, I'll go. I'm
Yeah.
out on this truck. I'm riding. No animals. There's no elephants. There's no tigers. There's no lions. There's no nothing.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh, see, I knew I was right. I should have stayed in the blah, blah, blah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was like, okay, pock and pot all of that, pock and pot all of that. What else is possible here?
Hmm.
And how does it get any better than this? Riding on 5:30 in the morning. I used those questions. I
Hmm.
started hearing the birds. You read that, right? I started
Yes.
hearing the birds.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's amazing. You're talking about just the question. There's so many questions
Do you hear the
within
birds now?
it. I hear the birds now. I thought that was just me. I didn't want to bring it up. And have it be awkward. But no, I do.
Yeah.
I do
So
for the
what
bird.
are the who are the birds, the whistles that are showing up in your life that you may not be listening to because you've decided
Hmm.
that's not what you're looking for. How the
Hmm.
universe, it never, Dr. Dane here says, how it shows up in your life, what you've been asking for, is never the way you're expecting. So please do not exclude anything or anyone. It doesn't mean even the cobras. I always talk about that. The
Hmm.
cobra snakes, right? You've seen them; they're
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Now, you don't necessarily want to bring them into your bed with you, right?
Why not?
But that doesn't
Yeah,
mean that you can't appreciate their beauty.
exactly.
So what is it that you are excluding from your life that if you're willing
Hmm.
to receive it, to
Hmm.
acknowledge it, and to
What does
appreciate
it
it,
tell you?
yeah,
Yeah,
then it
exactly.
actually will open something up. Even somebody who is a really not kind, nasty, I don't know if you can swear here, but on this,
No, yeah.
okay, jerk, right?
Good, sure.
Right.
Yes, we can say
Would you be willing to recognize how excellent they are at being a jerk? Like, I mean,
just
like
a
how
fantastic jerk.
a fantastic jerk.
Wonderful jerk.
Oh, well, wonderful jerk. You do jerk so well. You do unkindness.
You get your
You
masters in jerk.
criticize so well.
Great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh
wow.
my. Wow. Boy, you got it. Yeah, that's true. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Everyone has their niche,
Yeah.
so
And then
um
if you're willing to do that, they've probably been judged all of their life and excluded all of their life and refused all of their life. And if you are actually acknowledging and recognizing them, what can show up in that rapport with them? And this is the unique sort of brand of magic that we all have. So this is the invitation to look at life from a different perspective and
mhm,
actually increase the riches with which you can dance in your life.
exactly. Yeah, and just to hammer that idea home, one of the things you even just said it that is throughout this book, which is I guess maybe the after you have the clearing statement, you have the other statement. How does it get any better than that? That's that statement. It's a couple times you send an email. How's it get better than that? You're right. How's it get better than that?
Yeah,
Because that's what the
when you
what
ask
you
that, and a lot of times people think, well, how does it get any better than that? It doesn't get any better than that. That's the answer. That's the conclusion.
Mhm.
You've closed the door. And the universe is like, wait, I got like 20 different ways to show you different things about that, but you've closed the door. You've locked the door. You've blocked it out.
Yeah.
So what is it that you have decided cannot be different in your life? In y'all's life, I'll say that that's a plural thing. That
Mhm.
if you're willing to just use some of these amazing questions and tools, how does it get any better than that? And what else is possible? You're not saying, oh, I'm not satisfied. I don't want that. That's not going to work for me. I don't want that, right? You're saying,
Mhm.
thank you so much, universe. This is so awesome. If it's something good that shows up, I love this. I am so grateful. And I just want you to know that I'm open for receiving more. Thank you very much. And the
Exactly.
universe is like, oh, good, because everyone else has closed the door. Boom. A million,
Yeah.
a
Here's
million,
some
a
more.
$1 million. I got all this gold here and nobody's opening their door.
Nobody's open to it. Oh, here you
Oh,
go.
wow. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. How does it get any better than that? Well, how does it get any better than that? Let me see. You like
Now
silver?
here's
I
this.
like silver. Thank you, Broom. Do you like champagne? Love champagne. How does it get any better than that? What
There
else?
you go. Everybody else is closed off here, so
Hmm.
that's fantastic. So within it's a relatively quick read, but a lot packed into it here. Is if there's one thing you'd like people to get out of this book, well, what do you think that would really be? Just that one overarching
I would love
concept.
I would love people to recognize that they're not wrong, that they
Hmm.
never have been and they never will be,
Hmm.
right? And they don't have to be right.
Hmm.
They just have to recognize that whatever it is that you are choosing, it will create something. And choose again and choose again and choose again. Don't go into the wrongness of you, right? Because there is no one on the planet that does
Hmm.
you better than you. And so the invitation, that's why I start with that chapter on self. And it's the longest chapter, you know that, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's
people
right.
are easy. People can talk about money, people can talk about business, people can talk about relationships. But that delicate approach, 360-degree approach, whichever approach works for you. It's not about giving people answers. It's about giving people different approaches to look at themselves and their life in a way that is not judgmental, but that actually is like, I never even looked at it that way. Actually, that actually speaks to me. Or no, that one doesn't speak. Oh, this speaks to me. So that's why I give so many different examples and different tools to use and apply so that you can open up the possibilities for you, health-wise, mental, physical, emotional health-wise, also career-wise, money-wise. I talk about how I had, was closing the door on money because I was waiting for someone to pay me back, right?
Right. You're limiting. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and how you can open up various channels so that you can actually enjoy this life because we're here. We chose to be here. I mean, can you imagine? We could have been here during, World War One, or we could have been here during this, the Spanish, they call it Spanish, but it wasn't really this, virus, or we could have been here, but we chose to be here now. Or are you going to step in to that choice and see and step up and see what you could do in life? And I do this, invite people on this 3 steps program that I'm doing to just simply step in to your life and be honoring of you. Do not treat yourself with disrespect, please. And that is not just about you, right? We think that it's about us. But actually, when you're honoring yourself and treating yourself with honor and respect, it is showing people how to treat you. And it makes it so much easier to honor other people and treat other people with respect and to be grateful for you. If you wake up in the morning, you are still alive, be grateful. And so just a lot of, that I give a lot of little tools on different ways that you can connect with yourself and be caring for you. And it gives you an inner peace that vibrates beyond your physical body. And what that vibration does, Chris, is it shows you people, places, possibilities that are in line with your vibration. But if you are not aware of your vibration, what your dance is, like they said to me, what your dance is, how do you know what the rhythm is that works for you? And this can expand in so many different ways in life, in so many different areas. Does that make sense? Is this going okay for you?
It makes complete sense. Yeah, no,
I'm so grateful for you for reading your book, and thank you, Charles Schuster, who introduced me to Schiffer Publishing.
Oh, our pleasure to have you here. So I'm very visually based. I read a lot, of course, but I'm very visually based too. And what really struck me too, and it'll stick with me too, is the image of the doors. You have 3 doors that you can go through. So it's the demotivating option, and then the pretend it never happened door, and then the acknowledge and acceptance. Really, So it's what door are you going to choose? And I think even that is a good way just to stop and clear and, hey, what door do I really want to go through? To make the best choice and accept what the universe is bringing to me, as well. And just to echo something we said earlier as well, just the universe will give you what you're able to accept at that moment, and it's the best that you're able to accept at that moment as well.
Absolutely.
So that's important.
And you work with a lot of spiritual things and also universal things, and you have some amazing talents too, and also and so does everything that we desire, or 90% of what we desire, already exist if we're willing actually to see it?
That's a good point. Yeah, if we're willing to see it. So we have to be willing to see it.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
That's the key.
It's so easy. This is something we talk about a lot in Access, is
Mhm.
polarized reality, positive, negative. In
Right.
order to plug in electricity, you need positive and negative. And that negative charge has such a pull to it. So that door
Mhm.
number one is about something shows up in your life that even could be great. And you're like, oh my goodness, why didn't this ever show up before? What is it that I've done wrong in my life that this has never shown up before? Why did I have to wait so long for this to show up? And we go down that rabbit hole. That's got such a pull to it.
Mhm.
So how much time do we spend criticizing what we haven't done up until now instead of
Mhm.
saying, oh, that showed up. Wow. What else can I create? That's door number three. And so many
Mhm.
people also choose that door number two that I talk about, which was,
Mhm.
wow, that was a coincidence. That must have been haphazard. Pooh, that was a boof. What do you call it? What do we call it in American? That
A
was
fluke.
something that,
A fluke.
huh?
A fluke.
A fluke.
I would
Yeah,
call
that was
it a
something.
fluke.
Yeah, that was just something. And that's, each, we talk about those a bit in the book, but not acknowledging that everything that shows up in your life, that manifests in your life, you have
Mhm.
contributed to the creation of that. So, I
Mhm.
mean, we have lots of questions. So, in acknowledging that, it's not about making you wrong. It's so that when that energy shows up again in your life, you're like, oops, wait a minute. This feels familiar. 1 second. Okay.
Mhm.
What
Mhm.
would I like to choose this time? That will
Exactly.
create something that I would like to have more of in my future. What is the vibe? What is the vibe that you would like to have in your future?
Mhm. Yeah.
What is it?
Um, what is it? What is it? You mean, are you asking a personal question? What is that vibe?
Yeah, yeah. What is it
um,
like when you get it? When I, as soon as I ask the question, a millisecond after you ask a question, this we play with this a lot.
mhm.
There's actually boom, a whole awareness. Then we start trying to focus it in and give a
Yeah.
response to it. But there is an energetic boom, the vibe. Is it walking on the beach? Is it laughing on a boat? Is it having friends around that are, making food? Is it playing with the doggy? Or, what is that
Mhm.
vibe? And that's an activity, but
Mhm.
what does it bring up in you? And so if we're willing to recognize that, and it's different for you than it would be for me, but
Of
that's in
course.
line with the truth of who you truly are and your
Mhm.
vibration. And when we have an awareness of that, Chris, it we may not be able to articulate it, right, with words, but whomever
Mhm.
we meet, whatever we see, yes, is this in line with that vibe? Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go see this movie, like the movie you just saw, right? I'm gonna go see this movie. I don't know why I would have never gone to see it, but I'm gonna go.
Right.
And what is
Well, there are a couple of things there. Every everything you've been saying is powerful, and I want to respond, but you just like, oh, I should make more notes here. I should make more notes. This could be like a
I'm gonna
2 hour
put myself
conversation.
on silence.
No. That's okay. No,
I
it's all
know,
good.
I know.
It's all good. Now, one of the things I was going to say before our we went live here, we were talking about the movie Tenant, which deals with time really. It's and I won't get into the plot of it, but my point with that is in they realized that moving forward was more powerful than moving backwards, and I think there is a tie-in, universal tie-in, to that because the universe wants to wants you to move forward. It wants the best for you. God, however you conceptualize that. That's the it's got your back. The universe has your back if you're willing to ask the right questions,
Yeah,
which is a big part of this, and then be attuned enough to hear the answers, which is equally important. And I think really what goes into here is just what are those reactions? What is that vibe that comes over you that you can tune into to say, okay, yeah, this is the right path, or this feels right, you know. And so you have to know what questions to ask and how that feels. So, and even if maybe go a path that didn't quite feel right, once that comes back around or a similar choice comes up, then you'll know. So it's that process of learning, what that feeling is like. So,
exactly, and moving it, and how many experiences have we had where we pulled up these shields and blocked it out because we don't want to actually be bombarded or to be hurt or to be made wrong or to feel badly. So
right.
reconnecting with you, right, in a very
Mhm.
different way. is if you're willing to take that gentle, easy approach to you, because there is no right question. There's just whatever the question is that actually stimulates some of your awareness. And how that
Hmm.
shows up for some people, it may be in their heart chakra, it may be in their solar plexus, it may be in their head, they may feel like the wind is blowing, you know. For me, it's like it feels like, oh, I'm going up in the elevator, you know, and
Hmm.
that's light, you know, and something that is not actually working for me makes me feel a bit heavy, which it goes down. I feel like something is like a stone in my stomach or something. It goes plop, you know.
Right.
But and so that is, you know, with playing with that light and heavy is sort of giving a jump start to your intuition, to your sixth sense, to your awareness, to your consciousness. But there is something, you know, that that zero sound, you know, that actually is, it zeroes out any
Hmm.
reaction, any positive or negative, any yes or no. It's just like, you know. And so
Hmm.
when you are tapping into your energy and your vibration and following your knowing, there is this space that is beyond time. And when I was a kid, this is what came up for me when you were talking. I always had this, I had heard this expression and I kept repeating it, but it wasn't really clear to me what it was. But I knew it resonated with me. Time
Hmm.
is not linear.
Hmm.
Time is not linear. And I
Hmm.
kept, and I, for years I was saying that and working with the tools of access and also seeing that film that you were talking about. You get that? That's what, you know what I mean? You get that. It's like
Yeah.
people running into one another.
Yeah.
You know, one's in the future, one's in the past. And living in Rome, you know, uh,
Sure.
yeah, it's
Yes.
like time bleeding. You know, it's not. It's there's no. So what is it that if you weren't running out of time, or if you weren't under time pressure, what is it that you choose? What is it that you would like to create? What is it that you would like to um, have show up in your life?
Hmm.
And everything that doesn't allow that, with ease and joy,
Hmm.
an exuberant expression of life, destroy it and create it.
Right.
From good, bad,
Um,
nine pod, punk, show, ways and beyonds. That's it. That's
there you go.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Within creation, there too, another powerful concept within this here is the idea of the creator, the connector, and then the mover. And there's those different components, within that, and like, which are you, and so could you expand on that maybe just a little bit, because I think it's a really important concept.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's so funny. A lot of times people think that if they're not working on their project, if they're not creating their own business, then they actually don't have success. But
Mhm.
every business, right,
Mhm.
requires different elements. And actually the Dancing with Witches workshops, I play with these elements because, you know, a creator is someone who has a continuity of ideas and ways of bringing to life different projects. And even if something fails in a project, they have 21 different alternatives that just come up. I'm a bit of an
Mhm.
obsessive compulsive creator. And so, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? I just, you know, ideas always come up for me.
Right.
And so if you, and a lot of times you have people who are able to execute your ideas. You know, you might not be able to. It's like, okay, how do you want to do that? Oh, I don't know how to do that. I just am coming up with
That's
20 other ideas. I don't know how to come up with
right.
it. That's not my talent and ability, you know.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and then okay, so you have an artist, you know, who's a painter, you know, who does amazing paintings, a creator.
Mhm. Mhm.
But if we don't have anyone who knows where to get that artwork out there, you know, where to put it in a museum or rent a space in a gallery or do an
Mhm.
exhibition, even online, right? Then that's just falls on its own, you know? So then we've got a creator and that person who knows how to actually bring it into physical actualization, right? Is a mover,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you've got the
Exactly.
artwork in a gallery, But if you don't tell nobody,
You're not going to right. Yeah.
it ain't gonna have success. You know what I'm saying?
I know important. Right. Exactly.
So the connectors are people who actually, especially when they're inspired and motivated by something, is able to get the word out there and connect with people and let
Mhm.
people know that that's out there, you know? So, and
Yeah.
we actually all have all that, right? But
Mhm.
different degrees of that.
Different
So,
degrees. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
and people think
Yeah.
a lot of times that they have to work. You know, this is, I don't want to go all into this, but that they, oh,
No.
well, I'm going to find somebody. I need to have money to pay them. Maybe not, because they might need you know, a mover might need a creator. You know what I mean? Or and a creator might need a you know, somebody who actually makes connections for them. So
Right.
how can you play with, you know, your talent
Mhm.
and acknowledge your riches, right? And then start dancing. Which are the floors that you'd like to dance on, you know? And
Exactly.
it's a little less pressure and it's a
Mhm.
lot more fun, you know? What is
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Does that make
yeah.
sense, Emma?
No, it does. It really does. And so, in all these concepts that we're talking about here are talked about in more depth in the book. But I was trying to, highlight some of the ones that really touched me and affected, and I thought were, particularly powerful. And anyone could get a lot out of them too. So, we'll have to wrap up here in a little bit. But so, what's next for you? What lies ahead for you, Cass?
What's when the future?
What's
There's so
next?
much. If I tell
Yeah.
you the 100 things, but you know,
Okay. Maybe next.
I've got I've just launched this new project. It's called Three Steps, threesteps.us, and it's actually accompanying people on this journey that we call life, and it's using some of the Dancing with Riches tools. And anyone who goes to schifferpublishing.com and gets it in the book and does a review for us, they can have a little taste of that. And it's something. It's a year-long program. People can join for 3 or 6 months as well. But one of the things that I have really desired is to be a continuity of contribution to people, because I see when I gift people my awareness about their
Mhm.
particular magic, and they start stepping up and shining in a brilliant way. And sometimes I see them a few months later or a year later, and they've dimmed their light again. And I pock and pod that I feel badly about that. And I've been wondering, how can I actually be available for people to have access to me? Because I've always seen that in people.
Mhm.
That's one of my gifts.
Mhm.
And so this Three Steps program I'm really excited about, and that is that will be going on for a while.
Mhm.
And this just showed up. This, so let me tell you about the long thing and just one other thing. This just showed up. A
Okay.
girlfriend of mine who's from Italy, but she's living in the States. She's married to a Sikh. I had her on the Three Steps program because I have motivational speakers and inspirational speakers, and I've asked you to come on because I really would like to have people have your amazingness and your caring. And okay, we can talk more about you on the next Facebook Live, but just yeah, the universe has brought me you, so thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And so she said to me, I had her on and she did her, talking about connecting with you. Each month of the Three Steps program has a different topic, and we talk about stepping into your life, stepping up in your life, and stepping out into the world to connecting with you. So she gave us a 12-minute sort of guided meditation thing, right, at
Mhm.
the end. And she said to me, I'd really love to do this. I really love you to do this. Again, would you be willing to do it? I love your voice. And would you be willing to? And the music that we use is a little different. Would you be willing to put a little soul music in there and do it? So I'm like, hey, why not?
Sure.
What
Yeah. Why
shows
not?
up, what shows up? And that's
Yeah.
yesterday. So the Three Steps is about
Just
a year
yesterday.
ago. That's yesterday.
Wow.
And, so, and everything in between
Yep.
that's coming up. So, yeah.
Well, and that just speaks to you being open and just allowing those things to flow into your life and you being able to dance with it.
Yes.
You're
Because when you're
dancing with your
connected
own
with
rhythms.
you,
Yeah.
when you're connected with your vibration, then it shows things that are in line with that, and that will create more in your life will show up. And the question, this is the question I'd love to leave people with. There's no right question, there's no wrong question. My favorite question is, what is the question I can ask here that will create more clarity, ease, and abundance in my life?
Right.
That's it. Exactly. Or will create more, or will give me more clarity. What is the question I can ask here? And just with that question, right? It is like a molecular demanifestation of the solidity of blocks and obstacles. That's what questions are. They are algorithmic interrupts. You know how we just do and go and do our journey the same. That's what they are. So any question you ask, and that question, I love that question, because when you're doing good and everything's great, you get all kinds of questions you can ask.
But the question is, what's the question?
Yeah, exactly. What's the question I can ask here? It's great, right?
Yeah, that's almost a koan. It's
easy peasy lemon squeezy.
There you go. Lock it. Yeah. So it's been a wonderful conversation. Are there ways people can interact with you on social media? Can they go to your website, those kinds of things? What can they find you?
Absolutely. I've got my first book is 7 Steps to Flawless Communication, so they can find me on 7steps.us. I always like us because there's so much more that unites us than separates us, and also the US. And the 3steps.us and Dancing with Riches. You can find all of that on dancingwithriches.us. Okay, so anywhere you want to find me, you can find it all on dancingwithriches.us.
Fantastic. So, well, that's going to be our event here. Wonderful conversation. Again, it could go on. We'll have to do this again. Okay. We'll do it again for sure.
Good.
So, big thank you to Kass Thomas, and thanks to everyone who tuned in to our live event. It was just amazing. Dancing with Riches is available on redfeatherbs.com, shareforbooks.com, as you mentioned, wherever Mind by Spirit titles are sold, wherever trade books are sold, wherever you want to get it, it's going to be there. So many thanks to everybody who tuned in, and have a wonderful day. So
thank you.
Okay. Thank you all.
Grazie, merci, shukran.
So yeah, and here we go. There we go.